Welcome to 44 and 1, GVizzle, Tempest. Bad news today, folks. We were going to do part 2 of Learning to Speak Womanese, but we can no longer access the book. So it's a sad day for everyone.
Conspiracies in the comments.
It's a sad, sad day. Hopefully we'll be able to get a new copy of it.
I'm heartbroken. There were so many pearls of wisdom. My mind was blown after reading that.
I immediately went out and cheated on my husband.
Did you?
I mean, it kind of made me feel like not a real woman because every woman cheats. So
all of the time with everybody.
All the I'm cheating right now. I'm cheating right now. You can't see what's going on under the desk. So yes, I am very disappointed. Yeah. I'll never know. I'll never know how that story ends. I think it has something. I mean, I'm not psychic, nor do I play one on television, but I think she cheated.
Yeah, I think she must have done. I think Charlotte cheated with Daisy.
They just went off and decided, fuck this, fuck men, we're gonna be together.
Yeah.
But we were talking earlier, like imagine being the woman that book was written about.
Yeah.
And like stumbling upon it, and one of your friends is like, "Hey, isn't that your ex?" And you read it, and you're like, "Holy shit! God, we were only together for 3 weeks. I don't know."
Yeah. I thought that must be an epic woman. I would love to meet that woman.
Who wouldn't? She should be running her own seminars.
Yeah.
He should give her a portion of the money he collects, because without her,
he
wouldn't be. See, behind every great man,
yeah,
there's a woman who cheated.
Yeah. I would probably say like behind every misogynist, there's a woman that cheated.
Yeah, no, behind every misogynist, there's a woman who rejected him for very valid reasons, and he was not willing to accept those reasons because he feels entitled to her attention. And
then that's what he thinks cheating is.
Yes, she cheated on him emotionally.
Yeah. Or maybe his definition of cheating is that she didn't send him the selfie to show where she was on time, and she dared to maintain eye contact during intimacy. So 2 rules broken. Potentially.
And remember that time they went to the store and they had a male cashier and she said thank you and smiled?
Oh, yeah.
Cheating.
Yeah. She was tickling his balls under the counter. I didn't do it high enough, but I did the hand
I used to work with a woman who was convinced that her husband never ever looked at another woman, and that if he did to her, that would be cheating. And like we were all trying to like it's normal, right? Like it would be completely abnormal for him to never be able to appreciate beauty in another person. And she was like, "No, it's cheating." It's like, no, but it's
that's impossible. What's she gonna do? Pluck his eyes out? Event Horizon style?
She got him like horse blinders, so he could only.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very bizarre. Like she was absolutely adamantly convinced, and she's like, "No, he tells me he doesn't." It's like, well, yeah, of course he tells you that he doesn't because he knows how you feel about it, so he's lying to you.
He's terrified.
I would be. So in lieu of learning Womanese. And now where else are you going to learn it? If you can't learn it through this book, it's not like you can get it on Rosetta Stone. Anyway.
Exactly.
I'm over it. I'm not over it, but I'm over it. In lieu of that, you're going to a tried and true would you rathers. Would you rather?
I don't know yet.
We'll find out. Well, you'll rather, one, would you rather be forced to speak in a single different accent, not of your choosing forever, or speak in a random different accent whenever you wake up for 1 year?
The second one sounds way more fun.
But what if you're terrible at it? Then everyone will know you're faking.
No, but it doesn't. Wasn't it just that, like, you know, you wake up, it has to be a random accent. You don't know what it's going to be, then you will be speaking with that. So I assume that it's like a magic power. For a year, you'll have a.
That would lead to some interesting questions, though.
Yeah.
I mean, we live in a culture where a lot of people mistake cultural appreciation for cultural appropriation. And if you were speaking with
like an Indian accent or something.
Yes. And then people are like, where are you from? And you're like, oh, Wales. You're like, fuck, dude. I had a friend in high school, and her she looked Asian.
Mm.
Asian. Her siblings, Asian. I get to her house one day, and her dad opens the door, and her dad is Chinese, and her mom is a blonde white lady, and they start talking, and they had the thickest Jamaican accents, and I was like, what the fuck is wrong with your parents? And that is when I learned that she was actually from Jamaica. Like that. Her family was from Jamaica, and I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, they're not. This isn't a house of racists, then.
Yeah, and like I like her she had a Chinese last name. She looked Chinese. Yeah. I just had always kind of like, we had never talked about where our families were from, so I had never thought anything else.
Yeah, because isn't it the singer of Skindred? He's Welsh and Jamaican, so he's got like a thick Jamaican / Welsh accent that's kind of blended together.
I don't know anything about the singer of Skindred. I do know the band Skindred, but I don't know anything about the singer.
Well, there you go. They're from Wales, and then the singer's from Jamaica also.
Learn something new today.
Yeah. So I just think, yeah, like at the end of the day, though, because they have the whole oppression Olympics, then I'd be like, yeah, but I've got a mental disorder, so you can't judge me for it. And then I win.
I don't even know how to say that. Would you rather have all animals feel compelled to obey you if you come within 10 feet of them, or be given the opportunity to genetically design a pet that will be loyal only to you with the combined DNA of 3 animals?
Oh, that's a really tough one, because both of those are really fucking cool. Can I have both? That's never happened before in the history of Would You Rather that we've done. I've wanted both of them.
I know.
What would you go for?
Considering that Zool and Gozer bark all fucking day, I'd probably go with control, because then I could just make sure they stay within 10 feet of me and they don't bark. Yeah. Also, because we have like coyotes in our area, if they came within 10 feet, I could just get them to like start dancing a little jig, maybe like they do in Shrek. Those are the wolves, not the coyotes. I think I would go with that because because it says given the opportunity to genetically design a pet. But then once that pet is gone, because no pet has a finite, like they have a finite life span. So once that pet is gone, I'm back to like just telling the story of this one really cool pet that I had. And a dog that, I mean, a pet that is trained well, that you really take the time to work with and train, would listen to you. But you'd also want, and pets just in their nature of being pets are pretty loyal. The DNA of 3 animals would be cool though, but then I would it have the DNA of 3 animals, or would it look like those 3 animals?
Exactly.
It would have like Gozer's head on a fish body with kangaroo legs. Like
it'd be like the Island of Dr. Moreau, if you read that or seen it.
I've seen the movie. It was terrible.
Yeah, it was an awful movie.
I think I would go with the 10 feet.
Yeah, I think it's gonna have to be that. I mean, could you imagine being able to like just go up to a bear and just make friends with a bear? And like you would be the best park ranger ever, because if someone was like, bear attacked campsite 13, you just like hustle over there and they like, all right, bear, let's go back over here. Like it would be very, very useful skill. Yeah, I think so. Hey, can you imagine going to like, I don't know, London Zoo and jumping in the chimpanzee or gorilla enclosure and just making friends with them? I saw something today. So this man had read in the Bible something about Daniel and the lions. The lion's paw, I think. Yeah. And so he thought that if he went to, I forget what zoo it was, I think it was somewhere in Africa. So he was at a zoo in Africa and he went into the lion enclosure with the faith that God would protect him like he protected Daniel. He was eaten immediately. If forgetting one of the primary things they always spout out, which is God helps those who help themselves. It's like that joke I heard one. My mom had told me about this joke where it was like, this town is flooding, so this family like prays for God to help them, and there's evacuation orders. They ignore them, and they're like, no, we're gonna stay here because God's gonna help us. And then like as the water is rising, a boat comes by, and the
the guy in the boat is like, hey, get in the boat. And they're like, no, God's going to help us. And then like they die, go to heaven. And then they're like, God, why? Like, you're supposed to help us. And he was like, I told you to get the fuck out. I sent you a boat. What more do you want?
Yeah.
See the help when it comes.
Yeah, I don't. There's also like a trend as well where people are trying to get like social media clout, so they'll do something really fucking dumb. Well, it would be like taunting an orangutan or jumping in a gorilla enclosure just for clicks and likes, and then idiots.
And there's also that trend of people not realizing where they are. Like there was a girl who kept trying to get a selfie with a goat or a sheep or something, and then like she kept trying to get closer and closer to it, even though they were like, don't get closer to it. And then the goat just like hoofed her, and she and she looked surprised, like, why would this wild animal not want to be in my picture?
Fucking idiots.
Sir,
madam,
would you rather? This is interesting. Would you rather wake up every morning with a new $100 bill in your pocket but not know where it came from, or wake up every morning with a new $50 bill in your pocket and know where it comes from?
I think the $50 bill one, because I mean, 50 or 100, it's both an all right amount of money. It's not going to be life changing. But like, what if you're taking it off like somebody's benefits every week, every day? You get like $100 of like just random people's, I don't know, like universal tax credits or something.
But what if you still knew that was the case and it's only $50?
Well, if I knew where it came from,
donate it or return it?
Yeah, I could give it back, couldn't I? But if I'm getting $50 off of Boris Johnson, then happy days.
Keep it coming.
Yeah.
Would you rather have all your meals prepared for you, but you don't get to choose the dish, or sleep 8 hours every night, but you don't get to choose your bedtime?
I think the second one, not being able to choose my bedtime, because, and literally this is just a chronic illness answer, because a lot of the time I don't get to choose my bedtime. It's whenever like I'm too tired to carry on. So, if I'm going through a pain flare, I don't get to choose my bedtime. My neck and my back decide it for me. So
that's the life you're already living.
Yeah.
So you may as well get to choose what you're eating.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fair. I appreciate that. I would be the same, because I enjoy cooking, and I can be a bit persnickety. Like, what if someone tried to give me beets?
Yeah, beets, and then your strong feelings on sausage, which I've only just found out.
Yep, and I have a complicated relationship with tomatoes. I have fruit issues. I can't, like, if seeing somebody like bite into a really juicy, soft peach gives me the heebie-jeebies. I want my peaches to be as hard as potatoes.
Why?
It's just a texture thing. I need them to be hard and crunchy. I like hard and crunchy. Like, my mom used to get so mad at me when I was a kid because she would buy a bag of peaches and then she'd go take one out of the crisper and they'd all have tiny little teeth marks in them. Because if I went to take a bite and my teeth sank in, I was like, nope. And I go back.
Oh, man. Do you have the crisps over there called Whatsits?
Doesn't sound familiar.
No. So they're like cheese flavored crisps, and they're sort of like, they're like little twigs, basically, like little puffs. I came home from school one day because my sister used to eat them in a very unique way. And I just went to my room, sat down on my bed, put my clothes, like school stuff down, put my hand on my duvet, and it just went into this orange mush on my duvet. It was disgusting. And it's because my sister would she'd suck the Whatsits and then just spit them out. And then she just left them on my duvet, this like cow pat of Whatsits.
What kind of monster is she?
I know.
Like, at least put them in a bowl, spit them into a bowl, and get rid of the bowl.
That's like,
just leave them on your bed.
What's she doing in my room?
Excellent question.
B, why is she just spitting shit all over my duvet?
She hated you.
Yeah.
FYI. If you haven't pieced that puzzle together, she hated you. I worked with a woman who. Do you have O. Henry bars?
What now?
Do you have O. Henry chocolate bars?
No.
Okay. So an O. Henry has like a center of like nougat or whatever. And then around it is like covered in peanuts and caramel, and then there's a chocolate coating on it. You should have one. I should send one to you.
It sounds like a Snickers.
Kind of a different shape.
Okay.
So she would, because like if this marker is the nougat, around it is all the other stuff. So she would eat like corn on the cob. She would to eat to get to the nougaty center, and then she would eat the nougaty center.
All in one go?
No, because it's very chewy. She would take her time with it, but like watching her eat one of these was like an exercise in patience, because it would take forever to get through it, and then her hands would be all like dirty and gross because she's like got like gummed up saliva, and that it was gross.
Why would you do that in public?
I don't know. Would you rather have someone impersonating you and doing really amazing things that you get the credit for, or find money hidden in weird places all around your house every day, but you can't figure out where the money comes from or how it keeps getting there?
Oh, they're both kind of shitty in a way, aren't they?
I don't think the first one's very shitty, because you could have someone else's out there making you look really good and you're getting the credit for it. And the second one, there's someone sneaking into your house at night to hide money in your underwear drawer.
Yeah, true.
Just watching you sleep.
Yeah.
Taking a $5 bill in your mouth. Good night, sweet prince.
At least I'm getting attention then. Yeah, I think I'll have to go for the first one if you put it like that.
It's less creepy.
Yeah, less troubling. And at least the impersonator, it's his choice to do what he's doing. I'm not making him.
True. And then, like, if you're finding money in weird places, for it to be a weird place, like, it would have to be a place you don't normally look. Yeah. Otherwise, it's not a weird place. It's not like you go take out a tea bag and you're like, oh, there's money in there. You'd be like, oh, buried in between. I don't know. Insert something clever here. I can't think of anything.
Well, the thing is like, what is your definition of weird? Because everybody's definition is different, right? So I'm literally going to have like money coming out my butthole or something.
That's your definition of weird?
Yeah. I mean, if somebody's put money in your butthole and you haven't noticed, and then that's how you find it.
Fair that is weird, but it says around your house every day. So let's keep it within the confines of your house, even though you are in your house. You are not a part of your house.
I think you could actually command those animals yourself without that superpower.
The 10-foot animals?
Yeah, because you just
I'm going to command 10-foot animals to put money in my anus while they send me to sleep at 7:30. We've come full circle. If you were transported 400 years into the past with no clothes or anything else, how would you prove that you were from the future?
400 years. So what's that, like 1622? Did anything historical happen around then? Oh, they'd probably burn me for being a witch, though, in the 1600s.
Yeah, you really couldn't prove it.
Nah, because...
You just have to go with the flow.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no way of proving it. Like, you haven't got any clothes on. I've got no... There's nothing about me that is futuristic.
Your glasses would probably... No, but they had glasses back then.
Yeah, but not like this. But also you're naked, aren't you?
You could show them your fillings.
But then they'll probably just be like, well, let's pull your teeth out then so we can have a look at those fillings. So
yeah, I would just go with the flow.
Yeah. If you told people, what are you going to do with that? Like, you're still stuck in the past.
They'd also want to know what happens. And like, I'm not really great with history. So I would be like, fuck, your guess is as good as mine. I don't know.
Yeah, especially that specific as well.
Yeah, because they would want to know, like, oh, what happens next year? What happens with this? It'd be like, I don't know. I know who shot JR. I don't know what happened.
Yeah. And like, so a lot of our history is really sort of just non-specific, just general stuff that we know. Yeah,
there were wars, there were things that happened, lots of people died.
Yeah.
The 1940s are going to be a tough time for everybody, but they'll all be dead. They're not going to care.
Yeah, exactly. 300 years
I don't know
away.
enough about 16th or 17th century history to be able to be value added.
It's just basically the burgeoning era of colonialism. That's about all I know.
Yeah, what a disappointment you would be, though, if the people did believe you and then, like, you had nothing that you could offer.
Yeah, because we're all fucking useless.
Yeah, it'd be like if you... So this thing was that was like, what if both your parents were centaurs, but you got both the human genes, so you were just like fully human?
Yeah.
It'd be like that.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man. Yeah, because we've got, if you were like an engineer or a chemist or something, you would have a lot to offer. But I'm a psychologist. What am I going to do? I could write the print, Machiavelli's print. Maybe that's how he writes it as I go back in time. Speak to Machiavelli, I'll tell him how to write it. And then it's one of the first big psychology textbooks, technically. So,
you know what? I would probably do all right because I am an excellent public speaker, having spent 20 years of my life in training.
And you're Portuguese, and then you were the ones that started it all.
We did. Although my Portuguese is probably not good enough. They'd be like, "You're from the future, and that's your shit ass Portuguese."
Yeah.
My parents spoke English a lot. What have you only recently formed an opinion about?
I have so many, I don't know. My brain's drawing a blank. I have lots of opinions on stuff, and I don't know what ones are recent.
I kind of miss the days before I was on social media because the world seemed like a kinder, gentler place.
Yeah.
Back then. And so because my only real social media is TikTok, and I've only been on for a year, and it feels like it radicalizes everything and weaponizes everything. So like I have formed a very strong opinion about men like the one we were going to talk about today, and men like Andrew Tate, which I think is an opinion I already held, but I didn't know they were so prevalent. So maybe it's not an opinion that I hold, but something that I have learned recently that I wish I didn't know.
Yeah, true.
But also makes me even happier that I never had children, because I would hate to put a daughter out into that world or have a son who would be that person.
Yeah. I there are some things which I'm not sure I could even forgive my own kids for if I had them, and I don't want to risk feeling that way.
Do you mean like if you like saw your kid getting like deep diving into like the Andrew Tate and the other guys on TikTok and really just internalizing that'd be horrifying. I wouldn't want to put that out into the world.
No, not at all.
And like you don't know what else you're gonna get. Like what if your kid turns out that they're racist or homophobic or just all these other terrible things? Because while a lot of things go from parent to child, children also form their own opinions about stuff. So what if their opinions are just like so counter opposed to what? That would be terrible.
Because you choose your partners and like you choose your friends, but you don't get to choose your family. And like I already know what it's like to have a parent that's a cunt, so I couldn't imagine having a child that's a cunt as well.
And you'd feel like more on the hook for that because you made that.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think that, like, especially if you've had like a difficult childhood, like it would be a constant worry that I'm going to reenact that on my kids. And I wouldn't want to risk that because it's quite powerful. You do it in unconscious ways. There's a lot of things as well. We look back in the past about how standards as to what is acceptable ways to treat a woman, those standards haven't changed. What has changed is that women are more vocal about being treated badly. And it makes you replay in your mind, like, what the fuck have I done? Did I do anything? Oh my God.
Well, it's funny because like even now, like things that were perfectly acceptable when I was a kid, because they were just looking back with the lens of a modern sensibility, you're like, oh, that wasn't acceptable, but it was just something that none of us knew wasn't until later. Right? It was like when we were kids, you would play like cowboys and Indians, and at the time it was just because there was always westerns on TV and like they had that was the kind of language that was spoken, and that's how people played. And then after, when you got to an age where you're like, oh, that's really okay, let's play cops and robbers instead. You change the narrative based on learning new things. And I think the sad thing for me is that we've gotten to a place where nobody lets you learn something. They always vilify you for not knowing a thing. And like we talked about this before.
Just be stupid, you know.
I don't think it's bad to not know a thing. What's bad is if you continue to behave that way after you've learned that it's wrong, right? That's the problem. So as long as somebody course corrects, then give them a pass, because you're not born with this ingrained knowledge.
Joe, one of the things I struggled with as being a teenager and trying to woo the females was that what I couldn't work out was what women actually wanted from the boys. Like, because I had a lot of friends who were girls, so I heard a lot of conversations about how, like, which boy was a jerk and why, and like they wanted me to do this, but I didn't want to do it, blah blah blah. And then so me as a young lad, like I think some of the girls thought I was frigid or something, but I wasn't. It's just that I didn't know what they wanted me to do. Do you know what I mean? So like,
I think we put too much pressure on kids to be adults and to like know what they want, because they probably didn't know, right? Like sometimes you don't know what you want until you get it, and they're like, this is not what I expected, this is not what I want, right? Like you don't know what you don't know until you know. And I think we just put it's like asking 18-year-olds to pick a career and then go off to post-secondary education and spend $100,000 pursuing something when you're like 18. The fuck do you know at 18?
Exactly, you don't know anything.
Yeah. Up until I was 13, I still wanted to be a vampire. Like, who the fuck was I to make a life decision at 18? Ridiculous.
For me, I was just kind of thinking, like, you know, I'd rather risk being thought of as frigid than molest somebody by accident.
Fair. That's a fair statement.
And because I could never work out, like, unless they specifically did it or said something or whatever, it was very hard to decipher that. Particularly being autistic as well, on top of that.
I kind of almost feel like this is gonna, I may have to cut this out, but like how great would it be if like everyone was autistic? Because then you wouldn't expect other people to know what you're thinking or feeling. You wouldn't expect other people to be psychic. You would just be very plainly speaking, this is what I want, this is what I don't want. I like this, I don't like that.
Yeah. It's so much easier being that way.
I think a lot of people are just, I don't know if they're afraid of being rejected or they're afraid of being judged or afraid of being embarrassed, but like just pull off the plaster and move on.
Yeah. And because for me, it's always like, I've never cared what people think of me as long as they hate me for something that I've actually done or actually thought or whatever. My problem's always been like, you know, the girls while I was growing up thinking I was frigid. I'm like, I'm not frigid. I'm not nervous about any of this. I just don't know what you want. But then they take that as me being nervous and frigid. And like, you know, not sure and all that stuff. It's like, no. I'm the opposite. I just don't want to assault
I get that, right? Like me or dislike me for the right reasons.
Yeah, exactly. I was having a bit of an argument once with my stepdad's girlfriend. And then I was like, look, if you don't agree with me on this, that's fine. And I was like, but then if you don't like the fact that I do X, Y, and Z, I was like, then you just don't like me as a person. Then I was like, that's fine to not like me. Just understand that that's the, you know, understand me correctly, please.
And it's nice to be liked, but you don't have to like everybody, and not everyone's going to like you.
No, exactly.
Like, I think once we come to terms with that, it takes a lot of pressure off.
Because
really I know a lot of people who really want to be liked, but then they will not like somebody else. And it's like, well, it's gotta be fair.
Yeah.
You're not everybody. Not everything is for everyone. You're not everybody's cup of tea.
No. And if you were, I think I would question your integrity, because it probably means that you're manipulating somewhere on the line to try and get as many people to like you as possible.
Do you think it's an intentional manipulation, or like an old friend of mine, her personality would change based on who she was dating. Like she would adapt to be that ideal person for that. And I don't like, it wasn't that it was malicious on her part. I don't know if that person just, her personality was more malleable, or they brought that side out of her. I don't know what it was, but like every boyfriend she had, there would be a different side of her that I would see.
Yeah, it depends. Because like some people do it intentionally. Some people do it because they've got low self-esteem and they don't realize they're doing it. Some people lack a cohesive identity, particularly when they're teenagers, going into early 20s, and then you're still forming your identity and finding out who you are. So it's not always malevolent manipulation, but it does mean though that like you have to question, like, I guess, like the integrity of the person in terms of, can you trust them with everything that you would want to trust a friend with if they're that malleable and easily led, basically. Based, you know, a lot of the time it's not their fault.
And I've often wondered if that's where the relationships break down. Like if at some point she just gets tired of pretending to be somebody else, or just kind of wants to come back to herself, and then it's like, oh, we're not perhaps a fit, which kind of bringing us back full circle to who we were going to talk about today, that's, I think, one of the things that confuses me the most about those types of men is that they teach each other how to manipulate women and be something that they're not. Likely, once they start to feel comfortable, their true personality comes out. It's not a personality that she would have gravitated towards to begin with, and now she's the bad guy when you've just been like duplicitous and deceptive the entire time. Like his whole 10 questions she will ask on a first date and how to respond correctly.
Yeah. Here's the mathematical formula.
Yeah, it's not a game show. Like, these are real people. Like, be yourself, and if she doesn't like you, she doesn't fucking like you.
Yeah, I think that those kinds of men, I think that they're so focused on the outcome of attaching notches on the bedpost that like they want to get laid, and like they're not thinking in terms of longer after that, following the bit of getting laid, and then they're so upset and supposedly traumatized, I guess, of the way that they go on about it, that they've been rejected. And it's like, well, if you're not being your genuine self, women are highly attuned to that.
Yeah, and like, you can't really be upset that you got rejected because you didn't get rejected. Your fake persona got rejected.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a sign that you should be your genuine self.
Exactly. Yeah.
I wonder how it would be received if women were out doing the same type of thing. Because all women are trying to do is like break down through shit like this, but then men are out there teaching other men how to pretend to be a good guy, and then when she finds out that you're actually a bad guy, claim that you were the nice guy.
Yeah, and then blame them for all of your problems.
Yes, it's a complete and total lack of accountability.
This is the funny thing I find with these people is that like a lot of them are just regurgitating like Andrew Tate stuff, and then they're taking some of the most basic things that Jordan Peterson has said and then twisting them into like a really dark aspect of the stuff that he said, and while also forgetting that the heart of Jordan Peterson's message he's trying to teach young men, which is take some responsibility for your own situation. Like,
and that's the problem, is that a lot of these guys have like small nuggets of good stuff, but it gets so lost in all the garbage.
But the thing is that it's because they don't care about this. Like when they do like one of those things, they don't care about that. Is like they're just using that as a rhetorical device to get other men to tune in and listen. Like, oh, well, he was right about this, and then let's see what else he has to say. But the other 90% is all the misogynistic, hateful stuff. That's what they're really about.
And like this guy who wrote that book, like we went through the book, and it was just like I cannot imagine a man reading through that and like nodding along, being like, yeah, this tracks, right? Like the type of man who would do that is already so far gone into that rabbit hole that maybe there's no coming back from it. You'd hope that someone with critical thinking skills would be able to see past that. What worries me the most is those like 15, 16, 17-year-olds who don't know any better. Maybe they don't have strong men or strong women in their lives to kind of show them that path. So they glom onto guys like this because, oh, he's a good looking guy. He's well spoken. Looks like he has some money. He's talking about all the women that he's getting. Like that's the kind of model I want to follow, because it's also the path of least resistance versus do the work, become a better person, be someone worthy of being in a relationship with.
Yeah, I had a friend at school that would say the kind of stuff that this Connor says, and the stuff in his Womanese book. But I always thought he was joking, and then so for years I didn't realize that he was like just this misogynistic piece of shit. I just thought we were taking the mick out of them.
I'm gonna blame Hollywood. Hollywood has like created this whole narrative, right? Like there was that terrible movie with Will Smith called Hitch. Where he was like a womanizer and he was teaching other guys how to be a womanizer, but then he meets that woman and she changes his whole life. She spins his whole life around. It's like all these guys think they're Hitch and they're going to find their one woman.
And the thing is with that is that it's really unhealthy to view women like that thinking that she's going to settle you down and break you. And I don't know.
That's an excellent point, because if you need someone else to do that for you, then you were never really a complete person on your own to begin with.
Yeah.
Someone is supposed to compliment you, not complete you. That's always, whenever I hear that line in a movie, that's how I know it's going to be a terrible movie. You complete me.
Yeah. No.
Would you rather be able to teleport anywhere or be able to read minds?
I am lazy, so I would like to teleport everywhere.
As would I, 1,000%. It's not even a matter of being lazy. It's more about being cheap.
Yeah.
It's expensive to travel.
Yeah, true.
And if I could like scoop up Gozer and just like teleport somewhere, I wouldn't have to spend $15 every time we travel for his anti-nausea meds.
Yeah. And I could just pop around for a coffee.
Right.
We could record these in person. Yeah.
Yeah. The mind reading, I think, unless you were really adept at turning it off, it would become very frustrating. It would become overwhelming.
Totally. And very quickly as well.
Yeah. And then like the only times you would want to turn it on would probably be with nefarious intent. Like I can't there's that my favorite saying. Like I can't imagine a time where I would be doing it for the benefit of someone else, really.
Yeah. I think it would fuck you up mentally. Not you specifically. I mean, people in general. If we could mind read. Yeah, there's a reason why we can't do it. Well, there isn't really a reason. The reason why we can't do it is because it never evolved. Fucking idiot. It's
possible.
But I think that, yeah, if we could do it, I think the world would be a very dark place.
And you would also like, you ever seen the movie What Women Want?
Yeah.
Mel Gibson. So like in the end, it makes him a better man and a better father. But then like you'd feel that responsibility, right? There's that one character who every time he passes by her, she's got really dark thoughts and she's planning on taking her life. And then he does something to step in. Like anytime you were walking down the street and you got that, or you heard that, like you would feel obligated to step in and do something. And that would be a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And you'd almost not want to leave the house, because if every time you left the house, you felt like this person's going to go rob that person, or this person has ill intent toward that person, or this person's going to hurt themselves, you'd always want to be stepping in.
Yeah, totally. And then men have a hard enough time as it is anyway, apparently, according to Connor, of understanding women. But can you imagine how much worse it would be if you could read their minds and be privy to all their unbidden automatic thoughts that don't even mean anything?
You probably still wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Like, I know you're thinking to yourself
that
you want to be an independent woman, but I know what you mean to think is that you want to be led by a strong man. He still wouldn't believe it.
Maybe we should write our own books. Like, if you can write a book like that and then charge 47 quid for like tin pot cookie wisdom thing, like, you know, the fortune cookies. And
here's the thing about that, though. We are not snake oil salesmen, and as good as that book potentially would be, because we're also not assholes, I wouldn't want to charge people for it. I just want to give that shit away, which is why we have a podcast, to give away wisdom, nuggets of wisdom, like it's better to teleport than read minds.
Yeah. I know, but then we could set up like a donation thing. So like, you know, pay however much you want, even if you want to take it for free. And then they could pay us like 10 cents or $10. And then
wouldn't every page though just be like, don't be a cunt?
Yeah, basically. And lots of different ways on how not to be a cunt.
Yeah, because he gave us like 37 ways to say that he was cheated on once.
Yeah, exactly. If
your dick is in somebody else, she's cheating on you.
Yeah.
Would you rather everyone be required to wear, identical silver jumpsuits, or anytime two people meet and are wearing an identical article of clothing, they must fight to the death? I think you could get away from the identical article of clothing potentially if you were to bedazzle it some way. Right? Because like, I mean, I got this shirt at Walmart, so like presumably there are bajillions of people walking around this shirt, but if I was to take this shirt and like add some flourishes, it's no longer the identical item.
You don't even have to add like one sequin in like a random place.
Yeah, and then it wouldn't be an identical article of clothing.
And then basically if
the crafting world would explode. Yeah.
And that means then that if you do wear an identical piece of clothing as somebody else, it's probably intentional.
Probably. You're like, that bitch down the street, she's been stealing my recycle bin. Like,
yeah. That happened to my auntie and uncle. They nearly got like a several £100 fine because some cunt from the house behind them would like sneak up next to their garden, down to their recycling bins and put loads of stuff in the recycling bin that shouldn't be in there. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I showed up at my grade 8 graduation in the exact same dress as a friend of mine.
That is a fight to the death. That should have been a fight to the death anyway.
It should have been. And she was way smaller than I was. I could have taken her. She was better in the dress though. But so this friend, so I started off at one school, and then in the 5th grade, I switched schools to go to another school. Because I didn't want my brother and sister's legacy to follow me everywhere I went. So I decided to change schools. So this friend, my first day of grade 5 in this new school, I see this friend in the school hallway, and we had gone to school before. She taught me how to tie my shoelaces.
Oh, wow.
In kindergarten, she taught me the, like, I don't know if you know, like the bunny ears way of tying shoelaces. I remember vividly sitting there in kindergarten and she teaching me the like bunny ears way of tying shoes. And then like we were friends for a couple of years, and then she left, I think, before I did. And my first day of grade 5, she was the first person I saw, and I was like, "Oh my god,
that's so cool!
You taught me how to tie my shoes."
That's adorable.
And then we wore the same dress to our grade graduation.
So that's how you paid her back for her friendship. She taught you how to do an important life skill, and then you went and just like, "Fuck you, bitch! I'm gonna wear that dress."
Well, it's not like I did it on purpose. I wasn't following her around.
Well,
like I said, she did look better in it than I did. So,
but you're trying to save face there, and apparently
it's true. It's true. She did look better in it than I did.
Also, you changed schools to be with this friend, like you said that basically just now. That like
I absolutely did not say that.
Yeah, you did. That's what happened.
Stop being a conner. Misinterpreting everything. I left. Here's why I left. Because I went to the same school my brother and sister did. They are 6 and 7 years older than I am, respectively. And when I think it was like in the 3rd grade, when teachers would see my last name, they would be like, "Oh, were you Jack and Jill's younger sister?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Oh. And then in the 4th grade, same thing. So then after the 4th grade, I was like, "Fuck this. I'm not going to let this follow me. I am my own person. I'm not their little sister. I am G to the motherfucking Bizzle. I'm not." So then I said to my parents, "I want to change schools." So
that's quite ruthless.
Me?
Yeah, like just to change, like fuck this, fuck everybody I know in this school. I'm going to pastures greener.
Yeah, I didn't want to always my entire academic career be Jack and Jill's little sister.
Career.
I was there for like 8 years. School's a long time. I don't want to spend my whole academic career being their little sister.
Yeah. This is what happens when you give diplomas to kindergarten graduates. Get ideas above your station.
Still have it.
That's so fucking ridiculous.
I still have it.
Why would you have a graduation for kindergarten?
I already know the answer to that one.
What was it?
Would you rather be unable to have kids or be only able to conceive quintuplets?
Oh, fucking hell.
Fucking hell, indeed.
And that's a bit of a it's an easier question for a bloke as well, because I don't have to conceive the quintuplets.
No, you would have to take care of them.
Well, I could be a deadbeat dad, you don't know.
No, I probably do. Would you rather type faster or dance better?
Dance better, because I'm already shit hot at typing, so.
Shit hot?
Yeah.
Shit hot, mate.
Yeah.
Shit hot, mate. If you typed any faster, would there be smoke coming out the keyboards?
Yeah. I've had to have 10 keyboards this week because I type so quickly.
I would like to be able to type more accurately.
I'm shit at dancing though. Like I'm crap at it. So.
Is there more? I mean, I would probably, even though I'm also a shit hot typer, I'd still think I would rather type faster because I type more than I dance.
That's something in front of my face.
I figured. Yeah, I type more often than I dance.
Yeah, but would you dance more if you were better at it? It's a good way to get fit.
No, I wouldn't, because then that involves like going out to dance clubs. Because I can dance in my house. Doesn't matter how shitty I dance. I can dance in my house. I dance when I cook. But like I would have to go to dance clubs to really maximize it, or join dance things, and I don't want to go places.
Yeah, there's too many people there. We could dance on the podcast.
I mean, we are on TikTok. That's what the whole
that's the whole app's
app
about.
got started.
Hmm.
What kind of dancer are you?
I'm a I don't dance kind of guy.
You've danced. So if the mood strikes, you know.
Yeah, I mean, unless I've been really drunk and I'm doing it for a laugh, I don't dance. Just no.
I did spend a lot of time in clubs. I did very much enjoy dancing back in the day.
Yeah. It's just not the manly thing to do, you know. It's not very masculine. So
Tell that to Michael Flatley. He's the lord of the dance.
Official title.
Official. Would you rather have infrared vision that you can turn on and off at will, or 20 times normal telescopic vision?
Can I turn that off and on at will?
It doesn't specify, so I'm going to say no. You can't.
Well, easy then, infrared.
For sure. Totes my goats.
Yeah.
Do you know how far I'd have to sit away from my monitor if I had to play dice? This office isn't big enough for me to sit that far back.
You see,
no, you just have your font really, 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 really small.
Yeah.
I don't have to sit that far back.
But would the font go small enough though? Because it only goes down so far.
It does, but then it would also be annoying when you're watching television or like watching movies or like talking to somebody. Could you imagine talking to somebody? Their faces.
But you like
core in their face.
You do like to be a peopler.
I would need the ability to turn it on and off, but I can't turn it on and off. Driving? Do you know how difficult driving would be?
It'd be a disability, wouldn't it?
You wouldn't be able to drive.
No.
Even go to the grocery store, I like pick up a jam and be like, "How big is that?"
I think you'd have your independent woman card revoked.
How so?
Well, you won't be able to drive or anything, and like if you can't do all the normal functioning things that men can do, then you shouldn't be allowed out without your husband. So, you know.
Thank you for joining us in this week's episode 44 and 1.